What's up, guys? Joe here from 3PM51, and today we have Yadi, who top 8 at the 1K at the Grid Games. Yadi, what deck were you playing today?
Today I was trying out something that I've been playing off screen. There's going to be Mewtwo V Union. Control.
And obviously it did really well because you got top 8. I believe it's like 6th place you got. So let's just jump right on into it, see what you're playing.
Alright, so today what I decided to play for the spice, of course we got our staple Snorlax from Vivid Voltage. Of course, I would like to say that this is definitely a icon on the control list area, especially when it comes to Eldegoss control, Ditto control. You see them always playing these types of cards. You always gotta have something to do with those nothing to do turns. Alright?
Basically, Tropical Beach. Who doesn't love Tropical Beach?
Exactly. Alright. And then from there, we got Yveltal from the Anniversary. Of course, when it comes to Yveltal, we're mainly using it for its Cry of Destruction. We're not running any Dark Energy, so I'm not sure why we're going to ever look at that. But Cry of Destruction, it's mainly for those pesky Lugia players that are always Primal Turboing, and we're saying no more of that. We got sick of it, so we're playing some Yveltals nowadays.
Pretty good against Mew, I'd say, as well.
Exactly. Yeah, it's good against Mew as well, especially because the main variants that are being played are DTE and not too much of Fusion Strike. But since DTE, you're only running 4 energies.
Take off the 3 of them. That's pretty good.
Exactly.
Better silent the rest.
Silent the rest of them. Now back to the deck list. We got Miltank. This one's actually really good against some certain decks, especially when they don't have those alternative attackers, like, for example, most electric decks like Vikavolt. You could see Zapdos attacking, Lugia, you can see Archeops attacking, and a lot of other things like that. But when you're in a good matchup, like one of those older decks from Astral Radiance, they can't really deal too much to this. Especially with it being able to hit maximum 110, it's a really solid card. And then for our Radiant slot, Radiant Gardevoir. Honestly, outside of Greninja, one of my favorite Radiants that we've ever printed. Mainly for its ability that it's able to reduce damage that all Pokemon take by 20, and all Pokemon take by 20 from Pokemon Vs. Now, the wonderful thing is, too, for those matchups where you're going against Palkia and stuff like that, you're definitely going to be able to utilize this because it reduces its own count for the bench. Definitely a really solid pick, and honestly, one of my favorite Radiants. And then for one of our golden picks of the deck, we definitely have Mewtwo. It has a wonderful ability that pitches it, puts it under to puts it on the bottom of the deck, and lets us draw a card. So whenever we draw it from like a Gormadize, or maybe we just have it in our starting hand, we could cycle this out to go get a different card. Now, of course, the only downside that I feel about it is it's only once per turn, but it's completely fair when you think about it in the end of the day. But really solid card and really good with most of our combos in this deck. And to top it all off, we have the wonderful V Union. Honestly, you're never really going to be attacking too much with this because majority of the time you're going to try and be healing 200, so that's why we run a very low energy count. We're not really looking to use all of those energies. But if we are in one of those situations where we can freely attack, we do look at Seismitoad every so often to take care of our opponent's bench, because we work through Manaphy and we work through most effects that prevent us from attacking that bench. But most of the time you will be just healing 200 damage. Cards we also run in here do help out on that math. So that does finish the Pokemon. Over here we got the supporters. We decided to just play 3 Professor's Researches. We got the Shiny Grandma, so this is going to be nice. Personally, this is definitely a good card, but it does kind of hurt in any deck when you have cards you don't want to pitch away and say goodbye to. But that is why we run certain cards, like another good card of our deck, Silene. Silene, if we're able to get those double heads, always a great thing. But the chances of this actually failing overall are pretty low, and it's always sad when you do miss it, but you just need, majority of the time, you just need one success and then you're all set to keep going. It's definitely a key card for some of our combos today. Another great card, since we can't utilize Heavy Ball, we utilize Peonia. So this is definitely good for some of those cards that you need in the deck that are in the prize cards and you just want to rotate some cards out. Or you got a piece of Mewtwo V-Union in that prize pool, so you got to go get it with the Peonia. Definitely a really solid pick, and I honestly have enjoyed that card for a while now. Now this is going to be a little bit of a speed round. Serena, we play it mainly to discard 3 cards, so if we have multiple pieces of V-Union in our hand, we can just discard the 3 and draw some cards in return. But definitely sometimes we can use it to bring up a V Pokemon from your opponent's bench to active, but you're not really going to be seeing it for that use. Boss's Order, self-explanatory, it's Boss's Orders. Team Yell's Cheer. This is actually one of the last combo pieces for the control combo that we have in the deck. It's definitely really solid and definitely really good for when you're starting to run low on cards in the deck. Professor Center Lady. I found this full art not too long ago. Honestly, really love it. But this card itself is actually one of the cards that helps us with our math and can be combined with that Silene Team Yell's Cheer combo, especially if you're going against a deck like Arceus Duraludon. With that 20 that the Duraludon's dealing, if you don't have that Radiant Gardevoir, this Pokemon Center Lady really helps out on that math. Another one that is actually kind of slept on, and I actually did sleep on it for a while, is Sydney. Now, Sydney doesn't hit some of the bigger things, which is just items overall, but it's really good that it does still hit tools, so you can get rid of those choice belts for seal stones, and then also when it comes to those energies, you could get rid of all the special energies in the world, so DTEs, Fusion Strikes, Aurora, fire energies, all that. And then you could also, to check on my part one more time, you could also get rid of stadiums. So say you have a DTE or Twin Energy on one of your Yveltals, and your opponent wants to play down Temple Sinnoh, and you don't want to really deal with putting 2 Twin Energies on a Yveltal just to get that Cry Destruction. Well, get rid of it ahead of time with a Sydney. Speaking of Temple Sinnoh, though, we do have our responses for stadiums that we really don't want to see. Outside of cards like Lost Vacuum, Flannery is a really good pick. And don't worry, it does work even if you meet one of the requirements, because it specifically says it could hit a special energy from your opponent's Pokemon, and Stadium. So if you have one or the other, completely fine. You can get rid of those Path to the Peaks and your opponent doesn't need a special energy, or you can just get rid of a pesky special energy. It's a really solid card, and honestly really good that we're playing it in this build. This one is a personal tech. The only different thing from some of the lists you'll find online is I personally play Roxanne. It's a pretty good hand disruption when you're fighting against most of those aggro decks, and they're really like munching away at your single prize Pokemon. So a Roxanne, it puts a nice stop on what they have going on, especially what they could potentially do in hand. Especially good against Lost Box once they build up all those cards in their hand and now have to use those resources to get it all back. And now the final card, my pet favorite, and that one day you'll probably find on this channel at some point, Misfortune Sisters. I honestly love this card to death ever since I've been playing with it. It's really nice that before the rules changes coming up in the future, that's able to hit all the spice. It's able to hit the choice belts, it's able to hit the Ultra Balls, Quick Balls, and all the meta relevant cards that we have, especially when it comes to the items category. And especially hits stuff like Ordinary Rods and Energy Recyclers if you're going against those Lost Box variants that do care about it. And it's really nice. Now, speaking of items, we're definitely going to be going over to this item section over here. I do also I did mix in the stadiums with the items, but it's whatever. Our one stadium that we're playing for the entire deck is the Galar Mines. We're playing 2 of them, mainly because just in case if we want to bait out one stadium from one deck, we can just play it and play a Galar Mine over that. It's really good against stuff like Mew box that tries to retreat as one of their ways to reactivating their comfies, and so on and so forth. It's just a really solid pick to make those players really think. It's like, man, I really wish I had a Switch or Bird Keeper or something along those lines. The next pick of the deck is going to be Crushing Hammer. Now, if you're worried about about all the special energy hate, don't worry, folks. We have enough hate for everyone around. So Crushing Hammer, it's very simple. Heads or tails, win or lose. If you win, you get rid of that energy. If you lose, well, you got a card out of your hand. Be happy, I guess. But you're able to get some energies off of those Pokemon, and especially if you're able to hit 2 Crushing Hammers off the coin flip or the die roll, you're able to get rid of 2 energies, which majority of the time is a really solid hit. From there, we got everyone loves them, everyone's gonna miss them. Scoop Up Nets. We're definitely playing some of these, especially for the later term of the games, because when we have the V Union out, we just want to get rid of our bench and hold the V Union there as the only Pokemon there, especially for some of those easier matchups. But Scoop Up Net is just a solid pick to just mix and match the cards around. Say if you have a Pokemon you don't want an active and you have a Snorlax on your bench, Scoop Up Net that, and you'll be able to go and dies like you should. From there, this one's gonna be this one's gonna be faster. We got our quick balls, we got our ultra balls. I really wish I had them all matching. And of course, from there, we're going to top it off with the PAL Pads. The PAL Pads is actually the major and final point that we need for that Team Yell Silene combo. Mainly because if you have these PAL Pads, if you have these Silenes, you're able to recycle and reuse and basically not miss a beat with a single one of these.
Infinite deck, basically.
Exactly. It's like you'll be at 5 cards. I don't know what you're talking about. 5 cards. I have all the cards in the world.
Well, life hack.
Exactly. They don't know I know this hack. Another card. This one actually gets a little mixed feelings from me, though today it's actually been performing pretty decently well. Yellhorn, which gives our opponent confusion. We personally don't care too much about the confusion aspect of it on our side, but we do care about it on our opponent's side. My only feelings against this is that majority of the time it actually never does anything because it's so early in the game. I won't really need it, and then when it comes to that, I'm not going to be able to actually play it properly. But today, this was actually definitely an MVP. And then our last final pick. If we ever want those stadiums and tools to be out forever, get rid of them with a Lost Vacuum. Shuck them right up. And now to top it off with our energies. We're running 4 Twin Energies, 1 V-Guard Energy for that wonderful, wonderful math, and 3 Psychic Energies. And that is the deck list I brought today.
All right. Did you feel like there was anything in the deck that was underperforming or you felt like could have been a little bit better?
Honestly, today, none of these pieces did underperform. It's just at some points during the games, I did end up bricking a lot. But the deck itself did perform well, performed to what it needed to be. The only thing I do wish that I was able to do more often today was the V-Union.
Was there a matchup you felt like when you were playing that matchup, it was basically, you're like, okay, I think I could 2-0 this or possibly do a quick three games on it?
Honestly, the only game that I did have that thought in was my game 2, which was Control versus Mew. Now this build, it wasn't just regular DTE Mew. It was Fusion Strike DTE. So I was basically
You got a lot of value out of that.
Eat all day, just basically eat like a king off of that. But from there, realistically, there weren't any other matchups. My first matchup was against Lost Box, which was really grindy. We took it to game 3, and of course he won that, but it was a really good match. He bricked game 1, but game 2 he got me, and then game 3 it was all there. The writing was on the wall, at least for me. I lost it hard.
And I know you said this was like a spin-off of Piper's build from her, was it on Toronto, Ontario, first place deck profile?
Yeah, it was. This one was basically her deck profile, but the only thing I did change was the Marnie for the Roxanne, mainly because me personally, at least right now, I do not feel very well with Marnieing my opponent and then Marnieing for myself.
All right. So overall, great deck. I think you piloted it really well from when I was watching it. Did really great. Is there anyone you want to like shout out? Anything you want to say? Any last remarks?
Personally, for shout outs, I want to give a shout out to my teammates, Joe Estabrook, Seth Goldberg, and Sean Whitfield. I want to give a shout out to Ling, the owner of Guildleaf Games. It's a really good place in Norwich. You could definitely go check it out. I want to give a shout out to Guildleaf Games, and if you ever have the chance to go over there to Norwich, give it a check out. We do a Pokemon event on every Wednesday now, so definitely easier access and more trying to get comfortable to newer players. From there, last remarks. For the second time I've done a 1K at the grid, it was really good and definitely performed way better than last time, because last time I brought Flappy Box.
Oh, I know that all too well. All too well.
All too well. I love that deck to the death of me, but sometimes you gotta run something a little bit better.
All right, man. Thank you for sharing your deck profile with us, man. And again, congratulations on your top.
Thank you.